Yo, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jagan Mills. I hope everyone's having a good day. Oh, goodness. Well, apparently, there's a lot of interesting development with Battlefield 6 right before the beta goes live for everybody, and those who registered who get it 2 days early. So, has anyone ever figured out yet that right now that unfortunately a lot of Call of Duty content creators are pretty much glazing Battlefield 6, and a lot of them are simply right now saying that they're not sponsored or it's my honest opinion and things like that, when in reality if they went to the event, they are technically influenced by or not Activision, but EA and DICE. Like I've said before, if anything, Battlefield 6 is going to wind up being very similar or having some function similar to Battlefield 2042. A lot of people are upset right now that there's no server browser. What that means is, yes, there is SBMM and maybe EOMM. Who's to say? What I do know is that it's going to play very similar to Battlefield 2042 as far as not as far as movement or anything like that. But when you are match making and looking for a match, whether you're using the quick match function or the quick play function, or let's say you just want to get into a game of conquest, or if they have operations, so operations or team deathmatch, squad team deathmatch, or something like that. Yeah, there is no server browser. Now there is a server browser maybe on par traditionally like we find in Portal of 2042 or community playlists from Battlefield 5, but the reality is, and people need just need to come to the realization and love it or hate it, th- we are in 2025 and we are needing to move forward as far as for the gaming industry goes. SBMM is a thing. It's been a thing for a while in Call of Duty. Eventually, as of recent, it got much, much harsher. It's the same thing with Battlefield. Battlefield has SBMM. I'm sure the first implementation, to a degree, was in fact Battlefield 2042. We didn't see it as much unless you were using the quick match function or the quick play function in Battlefield 5. But that's neither here nor there. My whole gripe at this point is all the Call of Duty content creators and just general content creators out there. There's a lot of smart people out there. I'm not going to insult your intelligence, but there's a lot of smart people out there and a lot of Battlefield tried and true Battlefield fans and things like that, and they know the difference between team balancing and matchmaking, ergo SBMM. So what I'd like to point out is you have people like Neurocinema, you have people like, I don't know, for example, like Blame Truth and, Merc Music and so on, Ink Slasher, and so many other creators, again, that I grew up watching and things like that, glazing the heck out of Battlefield 6. Let's be real, some of them went to the event, some of them didn't, but I just wanted to point it out because it's an issue for me when you have content creators willingly manipulate and then also be very disingenuous to their fan base, to their community. And Ghost of Eight said it very well. Yeah, of course, that's just how it is. I mean, at the end of the day, just ask yourself, if you were to play Battlefield 6 and you were just constantly dying and dying by bunny hoppers, drop shotters, campers and things like that, would you have a good experience if that was your technically if that was your experience day in and day out every time you played a match? Like maybe you weren't doing as good as you thought you would, or maybe you got a little humbled, sure, because you're so used to playing Call of Duty. Well, that's what's going to happen. We saw it in the reveal during the Battlefield event, and we're going to see it again in game if you have the opportunity to play the beta as well. People are praising it that it looks great and all. I mean, yeah, it's the same thing because Battlefield 5, when we saw the war in Norway, it looked beautiful. Not gonna lie, especially when you saw the Ares Borealis as well. That was beautiful. The presentation was amazing, especially the introduction play of Battlefield 1. It was amazing. We know this to be true. You know it to be true, and that's just the expectation of Battlefield, especially. We know that their presentation is always going to be spot on. Graphic fidelity, attention to detail is always going to be top notch. As far as for the gameplay, sometimes it varies to vary. It varies game to game, we'll say. So one of the things I wanted to put out there is that I wish that a lot of these content creators, not just specifically Call of Duty content creators, but you got people like Westy, Jack Frags, and many others, and Stowe, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but there's a lot of people who are just really, really glazing over, Battlefield 6, and I need to you guys kind of bring it down here. it's going to play, or the features as far as the interface is going to feel very similar. Samey, same, right? So there's going to be a portal browser. If you want to create your own server, rent a server, it might be there, it might not. But I believe they said it would, the developers. Even the head developer did say that, it's not a traditional, server browser, so ergo it's going to be SBMM. It's going to be very on par with 2042. And if that'll sway me to kind of maybe hold off on buying Battlefield 6, not because I hate Battlefield 6, because I don't play it as much. It's not really that immersive to me. And it's just, I guess for me, I do like the dopamine hit from time to time, and COD, it does a very good job at doing that. And if I really want to, I have a lot of time on my hands. I got 30 minutes to play a video game in a single match. Then yeah, Battlefield is going to be my go-to. And I'm playing Obliteration. It took forever. It took forever, but I had a good time. And I love, even in Battlefield 4, its attention to detail, snowy map. It was amazing, and it's hardcore too. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy Battlefield 6. I'm saying just keep your expectations low. Because I know well enough there's going to be bundles. So we all should know this by now. It was confirmed that there's going to be a battle pass. I mean, what is that kind of sounding like at this point? We had it in Battlefield 2042. I mean, it may not be as egregious, but, we're going to have probably someone like Santa Claus 2 or some sort of Christmas-themed operator skin in Battlefield 6, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see things like this. I understand there's a lot of people whose maybe this is their first Battlefield and it looks amazing. You know what? I don't blame you. I'm sure. I hope you enjoy Battlefield 6 because it's going to look amazing. That's what, DICE does the greatest as far as for large-scale battles. It's amazing. Trust me. You'll enjoy yourself. But for those who are expecting something more and a step away from Call of Duty, just remember they're two different games and they cater to two different types of playstyles and two different types of people, so to speak. You have more of an arena shooter, so to speak, for Call of Duty, fast-paced, always engaging, predictable, and sometimes it's just you get that dopamine hit, whereas if you have a lot of time in your hands to play a 30-minute match of Battlefield, you're taking it slower typically. I mean, you may not always be getting the high kill gameplay, but you're coordinating with your squad, you probably might be communicating, and it's just an overall fun experience. But my confusion is, if Battlefield 6 was this amazing, amazing, amazing game, right? My question is, when I went back and looked at the Steam numbers, why weren't there a lot of people playing Battlefield 4 then? When I went back and played Battlefield 3 and looked at the numbers, there wasn't a lot of people playing Battlefield 3. And then when I looked at Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, there weren't really a lot of people. I believe last time I checked, Battlefield 1, before this announcement of Battlefield 6, had about 2,000 players. Then Battlefield 5 had 2,000 players. Battlefield 2042 had 2,000 players. I think it peaked around 6,000 on one of them, and that was Battlefield, I believe it was Battlefield 1 at one point. But if you mean to tell me that, like in total, it's about 20,000 players across about 4 different titles of Battlefield, that's not saying much. What that says is that the fans are probably fatigued, at least at the time, and they weren't really praising Battlefield like before. Battlefield 5 was an amazing presentation along with Battlefield 1. Yet, the player base didn't last. Battlefield 2042, oh, don't even get me started, the player base didn't last. But yet, everyone's praising up the wazoo, up and down, with Battlefield 6. But I fear that the player count will suffer just as Battlefield 2042 does. I think on par, and people are saying this, it's a mashup of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. But if that's the case, then there should have been a gripload of people playing it, right? Before the announcement of Battlefield 6, there should have been so many people playing Battlefield 4 and so many people playing Battlefield 3, since they praised it so much and people are praising it like, oh, this is a classic, I wish it was, they have the same movement and things like that. Well, why isn't anyone playing it on the PS5? Why aren't people playing it on the PS4? Why aren't enough people playing it on the PC? I mean, I don't know about PS3 and then obviously the Xbox 360, but the servers are dead for the most part. I can understand Battlefield Hardline, again, one of my favorite Battlefield Hardline is my favorite Battlefield, but that's besides the point. What I'm getting at is, everyone's praising it, but yet no one was playing it. Now, magically, Battlefield 6 is the second coming of Battlefield, we'll say. So, either way, I find it very hypocritical. Just to state it clear and just lay down the law here, yes, there's SBMM. Yes, there will be stickers, bundles, weapon charms, battle pass, and things like that, very on par with Battlefield 2042. Yes, there's going to be some features that'll feel very similar from past games, and the reality is, just have fun. Stop trying to compare it to Call of Duty. The whole point of a video game is for people to have fun, maybe a little bit escape for a bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think Call of Duty content creators, Nero Cinema, Ink Slasher, Fooly, Blame Truth, all of you guys, just learn to enjoy video games for what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. And if it has SBMM, let's just hope that it's not egregious as it was in Call of Duty, and let's hope that Call of Duty can learn something from it. But that's all I have time for today. I hope everyone's having a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao, guys, and remember always, peace be with you.